guys, welcome to Thursday's video. We're gonna do something a little bit different, something I've never done before. And I brought my teammate, my friend, my neighbor.
Sadly.
Neighbor. And also Amputee, Aidan. So, Aidan, hi.
Hello people that are watching this video. Good to see you, good to meet you, good to be here.
You can see them?
They're very blurry, but
Okay.
I think I can see them.
But yeah, I just wanted to talk to Aidan, talk about his experience. It's very different than my experience, and he's also above the knee. So talk about a little bit about his leg, and then learn how his leg works, because quite frankly, I don't really know, and this will be informational for everybody. So, Aidan.
Yes.
Tell me about you. Tell me about your leg. Tell me about...
Usually with most people, I like to, when they ask a question, because for me, the leg I have right now.
I'll also pause for the cause. We're drinking chocolate milk, courtesy of our local farm. This is not sponsored. I just love drinking chocolate milk in fancy glasses.
Who doesn't?
I wish there was booze in this.
Usually with most people, when they come up to ask me, it's nothing personal for me. I've lived more of my life without the leg than I have with it, so for me it's nothing personal, it's just a common fact. My eyes are blue, my hair is brownish, and my leg is gone. But with some people, I'd like to get a counter question. It's like, they ask me how I lost my leg, and I like to ask them, do you want the real story or the fake story?
Ooh, give us the fake story.
My favorite, depending on what kind of person you are, I like to go with two. If you're a sports person, you're in a fantasy league. I was in one once. I was a loser. And with fantasy punishments, they're bad ones. I had an option of two. Take the SATs again or lose a limb.
Oh, I'd definitely lose a limb over the SATs.
Yeah. That, and I stepped on a Lego. Stepped on a Lego really, really hard and fractured 17 different places, broken in 7, had to get it cut off. But after like my little fake stories and everything, I like to just, be honest, share how I actually lost it. And it's much less exciting. I was diagnosed with cancer, specifically osteosarcoma. Bone
Cancer?
Boo! I'm a Libra! How could this happen? I know. I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, bone cancer between the tibia and fibula. Diagnosed at 9, amputated at 10. My choice. Made a very good choice compared to what other options I had medically. But since then, since being amputee at 10, I'm now 21 years old, so I've lived more of my life without the leg than with it. It just kind of, I'm used to it.
Do you remember when you first lost your leg, like how long it took for you to walk?
Yes. Oh, okay. I think I was not having a good time. Waking up in the hospital after like a 6-hour something surgery, I was not happy to see my leg being gone. I was very upset. I knew I'm making the right choice, but I was not happy with the choice I made at the time. It took me about 2 years after my leg being amputated to really accept.
I mean, you were also, what, 9, 10, you said?
I was 10.
Yeah. I don't trust the decisions I made last week.
No, I still don't trust the decisions I made. But it took me a good portion of time before I really had to accept the cards I was dealt, accept that my leg was gone. It's not coming back. Even if there was like a serum to make my leg come back, I probably wouldn't take it. So it took a while. It took a lot of PT. It took a lot of accepting it, getting over the pains as well, because I occasionally get phantom pain. It used to be very, very often. I feel like now I get it like once every couple months, where I get like a day where it's like, oh God, please, not.
What does it feel like for you?
I feel like I could best describe it as just like basic nerve pain.
But like, do you feel like your?
I feel like if I close my eyes, I can like almost wiggle my toes that aren't there.
Okay. So that's the crazy thing, is because of the surgeries that we did. I'll get into this on another video. I had TMR. Yes, it is TMR. And so I can't even imagine wiggling my toes. I don't get phantom limb pain, like I can't imagine my foot there, but I do get the residual limb pain. So the pain is in my leg. Yeah. And I do get the spasms and stuff, but I don't get phantom, which everybody loves to ask that question. So here's the person to ask that question to.
Yeah. It's weird. It's very weird.
But do you remember like when you first lost your leg, like how quickly you started walking, how quickly
it wasn't, for me,
and were you still going through chemo?
I was still going through chemotherapy at the time. It was maybe a couple months after when I finally stopped chemotherapy. I did not. Oh, I think I still have pictures of because I got my leg amputated in Florida.
Florida, I didn't
I know.
that.
I did. I went. Me and my dad. As soon as we found out we had cancer, we went all over the U.S. to find like good doctors. We went because we were in Georgia at the time. Then we moved to Arizona, and then in Arizona we kind of went up to I think it was Utah and Colorado for just to see different doctors and everything. But eventually we found a doctor that would amputate on me in Florida, in which they had my dad's friend had rotationplasty by the same surgeon.
Crazy. If you don't know what rotationplasty is, it's typically when you have a tumor in your upper limb, and so they amputate this entire part but take your bottom limb and they actually turn it around. So if this was my real leg, it would be attached like this.
Yeah.
And then you use your ankle as a knee joint. So it's a newer procedure. It was probably very new when that happened.
Yes, and it was one of the options that I was going to go with. That and limb salvage, which...
But your tumor was where?
It was between my tibia and fibia, in which I wasn't going to go with it because there's amputation, and the doctor said I would be taking out too much good meat, good flesh.
You still had good femur.
Yes.
Why would they offer
I don't. It was an
rotationplasty?
option. It wasn't the best option.
Okay.
I don't know. It was an interesting time.
Cool. But, so, me and Aidan are on a ski team together. We're both Paralympic hopefuls. Very far away from that, but we're working on it. How did you get into skiing?
Skiing was interesting because my dad worked for Cox Communications at the time, and the company knew about my amputation, and they were one of the main sponsors for Adaptive Spirit, one of the main fundraisers for the U.S. para ski team. And then the company knew about it, so they flew me and my dad up to, I think it was Vail, Colorado, for their Adaptive Spirit fundraising week. And I met...
How old were you at the time?
I want to say around 13-ish.
Okay, so about 3 years after.
Yeah, about 3 years after my amputation. I got flown up there and I met a guy named Mark Urich. And he didn't see much in me at the time, but he saw I was an amputee and he was a 3-tracker, and he said, "Oh, screw it, I'll put you on skis. Let's go skiing." And I remember that day very vividly because I put on skis as a 3-tracker. It was like this. I was hunched over and I was afraid of the bunny hill.
Yep, sounds about right.
And that was my first day. And then I took lessons after that. I eventually gained some sort of itty-bitty confidence, and eventually I started skiing with my family because they often, for spring and like every other holiday, I would feel like that we'd go up to some ski resort, whether it's Colorado or somewhere else to ski. And eventually I got good enough to ski with my family and progressed from there. Got good enough. I think within a week I was doing not very well, quite horrible I would say. I would manage to like hobble down a half pipe.
On a half pipe, that's pretty good.
I didn't do much.
Hey,
I barely skied it, but
you're braver than a lot of people. So we keep getting sidetracked. After your amputation, how quickly did you start walking again? Do you remember?
Not exactly, but it took a bit. It took a bit. I would say a year and something.
Okay.
I want to say I'm very bad with dates.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else before we talk about the logistics of how you walk?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you think is important about like being an AK as opposed to being a BK? AK meaning above knee, BK below the knee.
Anything? I don't know. I feel like being an AK. I mean, there's always advantages and disadvantages. As an AK, I can weight bear. I can weight bear, which is
oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's terrifying. So, do you want to explain it? Or?
I think you'd be better explaining this than I would.
So, somebody who would lose their leg above the knee still has their femur. Your femur can hold a lot of weight. So he can actually put weight directly on his bare stump. As a below knee, unless you're congenital, you would never, ever, 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 ever do that. Unless you have an Erdl, whole different story. But yeah, I've seen AKs, especially bilateral AKs, that will walk around just on their stumps, and I'm like cringing. I'm like, God,
yeah.
I can't.
No, it feels weird, but I can do it without any sort of serious pain. That's what partially the reason why I had this press deck, because I can weight bear, and that's mostly what I do on this.
Cool. And do you want to talk about because you have the BOA system, which is very different than mine.
I do, very, very different. I mean, there's one obvious difference too. I have, with being an AK, I don't have any sort of movement below here, so I have to rely on a mechanical knee to do the walking for me, in which I have mechanical knee as well as a mechanical ankle, in which you have still.
Yes.
But mechanical knee, very interesting. It's very interesting. I would say an advantage for you is definitely control. I would say being in a
Having
BK. Let me get the. Yeah, you have control.
Yes.
Well, I have to rely on this piece of metal, in which I would say a good amount of time. It took me a while to learn how to walk and eventually learn how to run, but I still feel like I don't have 100% of control at all times. I feel like with every maybe 50, 100, 150, 200 steps I take, at least one of them are going to be loppy, or I'm just going to misstep because the knee decided to not work with me today.
So, of all of the activities you do on a daily basis, from something super minuscule to doing crazy sports, what do you think the hardest thing compared to when you were a two-legger? What was the hardest thing to...
Hardest thing to really I feel like running for me took the most amount of time, because I was a very active kid before losing my leg. I used to run, jump, do everything. I feel like running used to be... Swimming, I got it down. Biking, I think the first time I rode a bike, it wasn't fairly difficult. I feel like I accidentally went over on my prosthetic side and just fell over. That was kind of dumb. But I feel like running was like the biggest kind of hurdle between doing it on two legs than doing it on one, because I think my first running blade as well, and the running blade I currently have, it kind of just... No, the first running blade I had, it was the fixed one where I had to swing it out to the side.
Oh yeah, without a knee joint.
Yeah. And that took me a while to figure out, because when I first did track and field, I think I did it in this, to where I was just doing a little dumb skip for 100 meters, which it's one way to do it. But I feel like
running's the hardest?
Running's the hardest because it took me a while just to figure out how to run.
And you're still learning to run,
I'm still learning to an extent how to run. I did track and field for a bit, did archery. That doesn't really affect with the I mean, there's some differences between having two legs archery, one leg archery, no legs.
I mean, the balance point and trusting your leg and stuff, definitely.
But I feel like just running was just a really big, running two legs, it's natural intuition, one leg forward, but it's just especially with the prosthetic knee, I feel like there's still a lack of trust, because this knee locks and unlocks sometimes when I don't want it to.
Yeah.
It happens. The running blade that I have it has two little triggers on the side that I can push forward and keep it locked, or I can push it back and the leg is always going to be unlocked.
It sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
It sometimes is.
Okay.
When I have my running blade on it long enough, sometimes I feel I have my walking leg on when it's actually my running blade. And those are two very different things. So I stand up thinking one leg is the other. Very bad things happen. Yeah.
All right. I know somebody's going to ask in the comments, but why? Because I know that there's computerized knees out there. Why don't you have one?
I just don't. The mechanical knee I have, I'm content with. I recently went to the U of U to do some experimentation with a mechanical knee.
A computerized knee?
Computerized knee, yes. Computerized. They had a whole sensor board, whole thingy on it.
Cool.
To where the ankle moved as well as the knee.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I did experiments walking upstairs, because I don't walk upstairs. I don't lead with this leg. I always lead with this. 2 steps up with this, 1 step up with this. But with the leg that I had, I was putting on this step through hydraulics. It pushed me up the stairs to simulate how a real leg should do it. And it was interesting. It was really cool just to do that.
Yeah.
However, I am content with the mechanical knee I have. I don't feel a need to have a microprocessor knee. It sounds expensive.
I think it is.
I paid enough, more than enough, I feel like, for the leg I have now. I don't really want to even see the price tag for a BioPress.
That's totally
Mechanical.
fine. It's working for you. Let's talk about the differences between your leg and mine. Obviously, you have a knee, but what are these extra systems right here?
The first thing right here is I have a suction-based leg, to where there's no liner, no nothing. It's
just your bare leg in there.
Bare leg.
That's crazy.
In which I can lay bare. There are some issues to this, but I just put I use some sort of either hand sanitizer, hand lotion, something, put it in, and this is a control valve to where if I push this button down, it releases or lets air in and reduces the suction. If I push it forward, it gets rid of the air. And then this thing right here, the BOA system, which isn't officially BOA anymore, it's some other click. Tomato. Well, BOA used to be like, if I were to push this up, it would loosen. Now I can loosen it counterclockwise, left and right clockwise.
And that just makes it tighter.
It tightens and loosens on this back end right here, so I'm able to, because I have large condyles, I'm able to loosen this up, put my leg in and tighten it.
Do you have any issues with like sweat or like your leg?
Oh yes, it's summer, my least favorite season.
Every amputee's least favorite, I think.
Yes, it's not fun. I feel like I'm getting the same thing as you are, maybe not to the extent, but I feel like I am getting heat rashes.
Yeah.
Not fun.
Not great. But how do you deal with it?
I just kind of ignore it. I ignore it.
Let's get into how you walk, and then I think we'll wrap this up. So,
basics of walking on the knee that I currently have is it's a rock unlock system to where if I put it down, it'll lock. But as soon as I put enough pressure, either feel like middle pressure right here, unlock, and I swing it forward and back, and swing it forward, it locks, and unlocks, swing it forward. Like a normal...
Because it looks so natural. Like obviously you have a lot of practice, but like I don't put thought into swinging my leg.
No, I don't. There's little thought in swinging. It kind of just almost does it on its own.
Amadeus wanted to make a special appearance. He hates being held. Okay, bye.
Bye, Amadeus.
Anyways, thanks for hanging out with us today. Thanks for being here and explaining everything. If you have questions more about being an AK or anything, like I said, he's my neighbor, unfortunately. But yeah, you can ask the questions in the comments and we'll get them to Aidan and he'll try to explain them to the best of his ability. Again, we're just the amputees, we're not professionals.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks for watching, thanks for the support, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.